On this week's episode of Tiaras, Tears and Triumphs, my special guest is Christy Van Sickle. She's a fellow survivor of an abusive relationship. Christy Van Sickle is an empowerment coach helping women reclaim their power after toxic relationships so they can finally create the life they love, the life that they desire and the life that they deserve. She is also happily married, mum to 3 of her favourite people on the planet, is an international best-selling author and the CEO of Immeasurably More Life Coaching. So let's take a look inside this week's episode of Tiaras, Tears and Triumphs and help you find the key you need to be free. Hello, Christy, and thank you so much for being a guest on the Tiaras, Tears and Triumphs podcast today. I'm super, super happy to have you here as a guest. We sort of crossed paths on Facebook. Facebook is a great way to connect with other women who are victims and survivors. And somebody actually, directed me to your post where you are going to be launching your own podcast. But welcome to this podcast. And please, just to start this conversation off, Christy, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to have this platform to be able to speak to other women who are stuck in the chaos of a toxic relationship. My name is Christy Van Sickle, and I am starting a podcast, like you said, and I'm doing that because I want to help other women who may be stuck in the situation, stuck in that relationship, feeling like there is no way out. And my mission is to show women that there's not just a way out, but there is a way to create something that's so far beyond our wildest dreams. It is possible. And that is my mission. I was in a toxic relationship with a narcissist for nearly 20 years. And I stayed because I felt like my confidence was gone. I felt like my self-worth had been obliterated. Come to find out, he was living a double life all of that time, cheating on me on just an epic scale. And this is a story that is true for so many women in these relationships. And I just decided to make it my mission to make my story matter, because I did find my way out. I did create a whole repeatable system to help women heal themselves on the other side, because getting out of the situation is not enough. You then have that period between leaving and creating that new life for yourself that I call the gap. And what you do in the gap is what determines how happy you're going to be after the fact, after you've gotten out, and when you get to that next phase of your life. Because if you don't do the right things in the gap, you're going to repeat the same patterns over and over again and end up in another toxic relationship. So that's who I am, that's what I do, and that's why I'm here. So thank you so much.
No, that's absolutely awesome, Christy. I love what you were talking about it's not enough to just leave the abusive relationship, because once you get out of that abusive relationship, who are you? Who are you on the other side of it? And there's an interesting thing that, happens because we've become so dependent on that person who has, in this game of power and control that they play, has taken away our self-confidence and has made us basically dependent on them for our sense of security. So even though the reverse is true, we're completely unsafe with that person, our subconscious mind is still telling us that they're the safest person for us to be around. And it's all this subconscious conditioning that we haven't even been aware of while we're in this cycle of abuse that is happening. There's a really interesting story that I heard recently it's a story about an elephant, a group of elephants, and the elephants were all just tied by a piece of rope, and these elephants were full-grown elephants, and they were absolutely strong enough to be able to break free from that rope any time. There was really, that rope wasn't really holding them. It was all perception. And the person asked the trainer, why are these elephants staying, you know, here when they're majestic and they're strong and they're totally capable of breaking away from this rope that is holding one leg? Why have you got them here? Why are they just staying? And the trainer said because they were conditioned to be held by that rope from the time that they were very young. So they learned that that rope was the thing that held them to that place. And it didn't matter that they outgrew that rope or that they became so strong that they could easily break free from that rope. Subconsciously, they had been trained to believe that that rope held them in that place and they could not leave that place because they were still attached to that rope. And I really see that as being just like it is for women who escape abusive relationships and who are trying to break that cycle of abuse. We're still left in that gap that you're talking about with this subconscious conditioning that has happened to us without us being consciously aware of it during that cycle of abuse. And we carry that forward if we don't learn that we need to really lean into healing and recovering after that cycle of abuse that we exit. It's so critical. So thank you so much for giving it that, you know, illustration of it being a gap, an in-between space. And that's really the transformation space too, isn't it, Christy? It's a place where people have that opportunity to do the work so that they can get that transformation and they can break free.